The Seattle Seahawks had an incredible 2025 campaign, winning the NFC as well as the NFC North, and in doing so had one of the best offenses in the entire league. This season, A.J. Barner recorded 519 yards off of 52 receptions and also added 6 touchdowns, while Eric Saubert had 31 yards off of 4 receptions all season long. Obviously, most notably was the walk-off 2-point conversion in that wild game against the Los Angeles Rams. A.J. Barner ran 341 routes, while Eric Saubert only ran 63. And so this video is going to take a look at the film from the game against the San Francisco 49ers in Week 18 and take a look as to how that could impact the game against the same team this coming weekend. All right, so we're going to open up in the first quarter, and this is a play that I really think sets the tone for the game. You're going to have Eric Saubert come into motion, and A.J. Barner is kind of going to be blocking towards the outside, and you're going to see how this play allows Kenneth Walker to create a hole. Now, A.J. Barner is going to come across like he does a lot during the game, hand off right to Kenneth Walker. And now look at Saubert setting the edge. I don't know who that defender is for the 49ers. And then we'll rewind here. Look at, granted, it's a little bit of a missed block from Barner, but it does just enough to set the course of that San Francisco DB off. And Walker is able to bounce through, get 9 yards on one of the first plays of the game, and I really think that's what sets the tone for this run-heavy game from the Seattle Seahawks. Now, on this play, you're going to have a 3rd and 4 coming up. Once again, Darnold's going to send Saubert into motion, which is a very common theme throughout this game, believe me. And Darnold, once again on 3rd and 4, he's obviously known to be a quarterback that has trouble with decision-making coming from his time with the New York Jets. But first, he's going to look towards his number one man, Jaxon, who had a phenomenal year for the Seahawks offense. But once he realized that's not going to get him the yards he needs, he looks back down to Saubert and is going to throw that ball out as he finds space in between those two defenders. And that really goes to show how, even with the limited snaps that he's given in the passing game, he's able to be one of those last-look guys. And like I said, we saw that in the Los Angeles Rams game. And that's one of those things that the 49ers are going to have to game plan for. Now, on this play, it's not as complicated, just a simple snap and block. No motion for this one, but Eric Saubert is still in that left tight end position, and he's just going to come up and block number 91. And I think he does a really good job of setting the edge right here. Look at that gap in between the left tackle and Eric Saubert right here, and bang, that's a hole left that Zach Charbonnet can hit, and what he's able to do is pick up a surprisingly good 6-yard gain, which was really set up by Eric Saubert being able to set that edge. This play, once again, is going to utilize some motion from the Seahawks offense to determine that this play is, in fact, man coverage. Now, this defensive back is going to come across with Cooper Kupp trying to pick him up. And this is a fantastic play by A.J. Barner, who is underlined right there. Now, Charbonnet is going to start with going off to the right. Once he sees this linebacker coming down that hole, he immediately cuts it back to the left. And then what do you know? There is a 2 or 3 yard hole that is wide open that A.J. Barner has just sealed off. Now, Charbonnet could cut up to the inside, but as he starts to move forward, he notices how Barner's feet start to shift towards the outside, which seals a gateway right there. And that's on the 49ers' Jair Brown. Charbonnet cuts left and bounces off that block from A.J. Barner, and that lets him run free. And now it's a one-on-one with the final 49ers defender. Charbonnet, though, he's got the agility to see this and hit a little stutter step and walk right into the end zone for 6 points. Now we're going to jump into the second quarter, and this is one of the first plays of that quarter. And we're going to see another handoff to the right for Zach Charbonnet. And on this play, A.J. Barner is going to pick up this defensive end, and Saubert is kind of going to kick a little bit to the outside and come down on this linebacker. And I think this is just another terrific example of these two tight ends creating an incredible hole. Look at how Barner's back is turned to the sideline. That is completely sealing off that defensive end. And keep in mind, that's a tight end on one of those big body guys on the defensive line. And Saubert, a journeyman, by the way, he's coming down and he's doing his part in pushing this I can't tell what number that is, but he's pushing that corner, I believe, to the sideline. And just look how good that hole is. Granted, Rashid Shaheed, one of those smaller guys, isn't really in the best position. This guy's crashing down. He's already stuttering. But he does just enough to push him a little bit off course and create a hole for Zach Charbonnet. And that is a great pickup for a couple yards. And I believe that's a first down, actually. And that is one of those plays that really can set a tone for not only a drive, but honestly, an entire game. Now we're going to jump ahead to the fourth quarter where it's, I believe, a 13-3 game. So not quite one possession, but still 10 points. So, and there's 7.5 minutes left. Anything can happen, and the Seahawks really need to get some momentum going to keep that ball away from the 49ers. And this is really a situation of situational football being called by Klint Kubiak. And this is one of those plays where I'm not going to highlight the run blocking or the pass blocking, but how these tight ends are used in the passing game. Now, I believe this is Barner coming ahead in motion. Yeah, number 88 right there. He's going to be used to draw a zone coverage defender away from an inside route, which is going to allow for a big completion to Cooper Kupp on a little zig route on a 3rd and 2 where they need to keep the ball on their side. Watch how Barner takes this defender away by going into the flat, therefore allowing for Kupp, who is a fantastic route runner, as we saw a couple years back, to beat his man. And that's honestly a mismatch. Great throw by Darnold to put the ball exactly where it needs to be, just to get Kupp past the sticks. And I credit AJ Barner to doing his part. Now, as far as things go outside of the plays that is ran through, if you're a 49ers or really even a Seahawks fan, some things you have to notice is that Seattle is going to utilize motion on almost every single play, and the vast majority of the time, it's going to come from either Eric Saubert or AJ Barner. And I know you saw in that one play it was Cooper Kupp, but that's going to be to diagnose whether it's man or zone coverage, and therefore help who a blocker should pick up. And as far as the pass blocking goes, one of the things that you're really going to want to find is that the tight ends are almost never going to line up wide, meaning they're either going to be blocking or finding space. Now, if you're the 49ers, I think something you should do is have a linebacker kind of eyeing to see if one of the tight ends is going to come out and run a route. And most of the time, that's either going to be a hitch, snag, or an out route. That's what was noticed a lot in the game against San Francisco. And I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The Seahawks are going to be running a lot of the same similar plays on this in the game this coming weekend. Now, I think a linebacker should be used to see if one of these tight ends is coming out. Now, if he's not, great. See if the try to help in the run support, and if not, pick up the tight end in man coverage, or hey, just drop back into zone. Just try and help out anywhere. But I think that's the keys to winning this game if you're the San Francisco 49ers. That's all for this breakdown today. And if you've got anything you want me to cover, I'll just let me know in the comments.